Hi, this is Steve with iFLOW. Welcome to our video series. In this segment, we're going to look at measuring the pressure in your domestic water system and then adjusting the expansion tank to match. This is important to prevent the pressure relief valve from going off and to ensuring that you have enough pressure in the expansion tank to match your system. So the first thing we need to know is what the city street pressure is. So there are a couple of places you can take those readings. You can connect to your tankless water heater, to the isolation valve kit on either side. Those will equalize at whatever the system pressure is. Here we have a convenient port, so we will connect here. But actually, let's connect up onto the tankless side. We're going to open up the cold side of the tankless. Cold side of the tankless, we're going to connect here. So give it a little snug up so it doesn't leak on us. And we're going to open up our valve, and unfortunately we won't be able to really see that all that well, but okay. So we're coming off at just under 70 psi, so 68 psi. So that's, again, all we've done is we've connected to our tankless port and we've opened up that port. If we wanted to open up the domestic side, we could easily open up the faucet, let off any pressure. We'll go back. We'll take a look at our reading, and we're about 60. So just above 60, 62 psi approximately. Okay, so we'll go back and all right. So 62 psi is our street pressure. All right, we'll just leave our gauge there. All right, next we have to adjust the pressure in our expansion tank to match that. But here we have a heating system. So that 62 psi is what we have when the system is running, or when the system is full of domestic hot water not operating. When the pump comes on, and if there are no faucets open, which is likely most of the time, this will come on and the pump will add some pressure to that system. Right, we have our street pressure at 63, and then the pump comes on and it adds some pressure to the system. It's going to increase it probably about 10 to 15 psi. So we had 63 street pressure. We're going to add, let's say 10 would be 73, 15 would be 78. So somewhere around 75 psi is probably the right number for this system given our street pressure at 63. 62. So we're going to do that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to relieve some pressure off the system. So we're going to close the tankless valve. Close the tankless valve here. We're going to shut this shut-off valve. And then we're going to connect our hose. We just have a simple washing machine hose. We're going to connect that to we're going to open up. So all we're doing here is relieving the pressure because we're isolated here on the hot and the cold. We're isolated here from any return. So it's just relieving the pressure that's existing in the system. Okay, so now that is relieved, we want to fill the expansion tank. So when we look at the expansion tank, we'll get a quick look here. In our plumbing kit, there is a check valve at the bottom of the pump to ensure that water does not come back through the pump, go backwards through the coil, back to the mixing valve. So we have a check valve embedded in this brass fitting. So if we were to increase the pump pressure now, we'd have to push through that check valve to this open fitting, right, that we have our bleed hose connected to. So we don't want to do that. So I'm suggesting that we open up this fitting. So we're just going to take our adjustable wrench, we're going to open up this fitting. There will be a little bit of water there, just the water that's sitting there. It's not under pressure anymore because we've relieved the pressure for the system, but there will still be a little bit of water in there. So we're going to open up that fitting and then drain off that little bit of water that was sitting in the pump. Okay. So now this pump fitting is open to atmospheric. Right, we're here and we've got a completely open fitting here, and now we'll be able to adjust our expansion tank. So these are pre-charged in the factory to 50 psi, which in this situation won't be enough, so you'll need to adjust each and every one of them to match your system pressure. The pump you use is quite important. I've seen different contractors try different pumps. This one is a nice little digital pump, small, so you can carry it in your tool bag, and it's digital, so you can actually increase it to whatever pressure you want in increments of half a psi. So as I said, we're going to increase this one to 75 because we had 63, plus we know the pump's going to add some, so we want to equalize around there. So I've set it to 75. So this will automatically stop at 75. The nice thing about this is the connection. I've seen some of the pumps that have, like, say, a bicycle connection where you put on the tube and then you bend the, the flapper down to it so it'll connect solidly. Those seem to leak a little bit more than they should. This one has a nice tight connection on it, so it will connect nicely to the expansion tank. So now I'm going to increase. So I'm already at 75. So it doesn't take a lot of air to increase that up. So now I'm at 79, but I'm going to lose a few psi as I decrease that. Now, not a lot. I might lose 2.5 psi with this connection. I might lose 2.5 psi on that. But now we've increased that to 75 psi. I'm going to put the cap back on. Now I'm going to reconnect that. So I have my O-ring. I'm going to seat my O-ring back on there. I'm going to raise the pump up though. I'm going to keep the weight of the pump off that fitting so that the threads, so the nut can properly grab those threads. So I know I'm not going to cross thread anything. And then with my adjustable wrench, I'll just snug it up. And you'll be able to feel when that O-ring starts to grab right there. That was the grab point. So now we have air. We've introduced air. There's no air in here because this was still filled with water. We haven't drained anything out. But there will be air in this little loop. This is what we lost. So we'll have to bleed it. We'll have to bleed it from our port here. So I'm going to open this up, but we're going to open up our fittings. And I'll just say on that note, so in this case, whether you're using our plumbing kit or whether you are installing in the field with your own equipment, it is critically important to have a way to bleed this system out. So we have our return, right? This is our supply over to the air handler, goes through the coil, goes out, back around. Here's the return side. So as it comes into the cold side, we have a shutoff valve, and then we have a drain hose. So this is such that when we open this hose bib up, cold water is going to come into the system. Cold water is going to come in through. Can't go this way because this valve is closed. Has to go up into the Navion because this is going to be open. Through the Navion, out the hot side, through the coil, through the pump, past the expansion tank, through the pump, over, through, and out here. So the entire system from Navion side all the way through to iFLOW side, all the way on the return, everything is going to be bled out at this point. So there will be no air left in the system. So let's do that now. So we'll open up the hot side. We'll open up this side. We're going to keep this one closed because that's forcing all the water into the bucket rather than going back to the Navion. So now we'll open this up. And we're going to be draining into our bucket. There wasn't much air in the system because we didn't lose much water. But when the water is clear, there's no bubbles, there's no turbulence, you know that you have properly bled your system. It will probably take, again, this was already filled up, so it didn't take much at all. But if this was a brand new install, it would take 30 seconds at least before you see all of the air out of the system. And it'll come in spurts, right? It'll push the Navion, the water from the Navion through here. So there'll be some air coming out of the coil first, and then that'll be followed by air that was in the Navion second. So it'll take some time to bleed it all out. But anyway, so we'll close that. Now we'll open this valve up. So now we're ready to start our heating system. So we'll start the heating system back up. Now everything is under pressure. We want to make sure that there are no leaks. So we have our towel. We're checking to make sure because this is the fitting we took off. This one we've closed the valve. That should be fine. So I see no leaks here, so we're good. We're good there. And now we'll just wait for the heating system to call. But that is how we adjust the expansion tank pressure. Again, just to review, we measure the street pressure. We measure the street pressure with our gauge. Then we drain down the system so that we have no pressure on the expansion tank when we adjust it. We use our pump, make a good connection, pump it up to street pressure plus perhaps 10 psi might be good to accommodate for the pump pressure, and then we reconnect the fitting to the air handler, and then we bleed it out through our drain hose. That's the system. It really should take no more than a few minutes to do on each site, but very important to have that pressurized to the right pressure. Thank you.